Hi guys, and welcome back to Crisis Talk. Not so recently, an article was published and in it, Rihanna expressed her desire to be a mother with or without a man. From then, Twitter popped off. It popped off, people were criticising Rihanna. So this episode's discussion will stem from the arguments that were raised. And as 18.9% of Black families are lone parents with dependent children within the UK, a statistic gotten from the 2011 census, this topic is arguably especially important for the Black community. We asked the question, is single parenthood conducive to child rearing? Let's get it.
Hi guys, I'm William and I'm grateful to be alive once again.
I am Palimi and I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation.
And it's Shy, as usual, and our guest is...
Dean. Hello, hi.
Yeah, a recurring person. We brought her back.
Yes.
She's so amazing. We stand.
So what are you guys saying then? Like, should single parenthood be promoted? Like, does it have a negative effect on people's upbringing?
I think it depends on the person, and I think it depends on the situation. The one point that I really always like to say is that, like, Barack Obama was raised by a single mother, and like he did really well in his life. So, but then there are other cases of single parents households that, like, you know, they ended up terribly, or like they ended up in a not they didn't end up terrible, but like they ended up in a bad situation that wasn't as great as Obama. So I think it's very situational, it's very personal, and yeah, I think you can never really know until you're in that situation. Go on, Davine, what are your thoughts?
I think that single parenthood shouldn't necessarily be promoted, but nor should it be demonized. Like, it is an entity that should just exist without people having these opinions that are so, as if it's so wrong. The idea that someone is, as a single parent, is a leech on society is so just overlooking all the intricacies of parenthood in itself. Parenting in itself is a very complex thing to do. And so the idea that someone being single doing it is a problem is problematic in itself. Just because they are single does not mean that person isn't being parented as if they are coming from a marriage or coming from a relationship, because it depends on the people and the people around them, because obviously it's more advisable that someone has two parents, but really and truly they need more than two parents. What they need is a group of people looking out for a person.
Try.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well that one thing about Rihanna, and you know, women in general, Rihanna was basically criticised because she's saying, for me, I felt like she was saying, and I think she's clarified it as well and said that she wants kids more than she's going to wait for a man. And as women, our biological clock, like, it's a real thing. Obviously, we're all, I think when you get to a certain age, you are very cognizant of the fact that, you know, you're not going to have these eggs forever. You're not going to be fertile forever. They start telling you you've got a geriatric womb at 30. That's so young. So Rihanna is just saying, if I have to do it alone, I have to do it alone. And if she financially, can do that and mentally and emotionally provide for that kid as well, I don't see the issue. I think the issue stems for these ideas that lone parents are inadequate, which, for example, and this has been a thing from ages, like I looked at media discourses on lone parents to get ready for this, and one person in 1989, Kenneth Baker, was the chairman of the Conservative Party. So bringing this to the UK. He attributed illegitimacy in single-parent families for the rising crime and unemployment in essays, and specifically in relation to Black single mothers, they've often been seen as failing their sons, in particular due to the house type that they have, and causing higher exclusion rates and involvement with crime. So I think that's where it stems from, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you would have the audacity to try and have a kid without a man, because that's the cause of all the problems. And so,
yeah, and I feel like because he said that back in those times, and I feel like back in those times it was very well known that, like, it was presented that women needed a man to, like, be economically stable, just to be stable in general. But I feel like what has changed in society is the fact that women can do things by themselves, and it's been proven that they can do things by themselves. Women can, like, take care of children by themselves. Men can take care of children by themselves. Like, it's changing. William, thought?
I feel like ultimately, if the mum and dad, or the dad and dad, or mum and mum can make it work, they have it, they owe it to that child to at least try and make it work, because statistics do indicate that human beings are biparental species, as in it requires a minimum of 2 people to offer everything, you know? So it's like the situation of, oh, I'm a Scorpio, my man's a Virgo, we can't raise a child together, life will never beat it.
No
That's
one.
silly. You know, try and make some compromises and make it work. Having said that, at the same time, you know, being an amazing single parent can be better to a child than being with an amazing parent and a toxic parent, or a lazy parent or a distant parent. So
Yes.
if it's necessary that you go the single parent route, then go for it. Because there's actually some advantages. Apparently, according to some articles I've read, children from single parent families tend to be more responsible, because obviously there's less adults to be taking care of their every little thing. So they step up their game and understand, yo, I need to take care of my shit. Like, especially in cases where there's a few children. So like the eldest brother, the eldest sister does tend to be like a secondary caregiver to the younger ones. And also there's no conflict with another individual about how we're going to parent. There's no, oh, let's circumcise him, let's not circumcise him, let's baptize him, let's get the Jewish. There's like, okay, I want my kid to be a Christian, circumcised, and you circumcise him, you baptize him. I definitely think, you know, this taboo that's been made by being a single mom or being a single dad so terrible, and that you've ruined that kid's life is unfair.
I think you made a good point of like, you know, you can be in a nuclear family and have like a 2-parent household, but one parent can be distant and one parent can be like away, and like that can cause so much psychological problems to like children, because it's like you're there but you're not there. Everything that's bad, quote unquote, in a single parent can also be applied in a 2-parent household. Like they're not mutually exclusive things. Like human beings are human beings regardless. So like you can still be you can still go through emotional distress. You can still have things caused in both sides. I feel like what needs to be accepted is that in society is that, okay, this is what people are doing. How do we help so that kids are emotionally stable in both sides? And I feel like that's what needs to be done. Shy?
The problem is when you spend so much time demonizing a certain household type, or even not even just demonizing, but just making sure that the nuclear family is seen as the norm. It also means then you spend less time thinking, how can I support lone parents? How can I just give, in terms of policy, in terms of government assistance, the conservative governments in the past, like their idea was that single parent mothers are a drain on the economy. However, the actual statistics is that single parents mothers are more likely to be employed because they have to be, because they can't rely on anyone else. So they are going to be there. So how can we support mothers to do the best that they can rather than just demonizing them?
Go on, Lilia.
What you guys are saying is all true, yeah. However, I think I do still stand by original point of if we can make the relationship work, then we should make the relationship work for the kids. Because ultimately, if we're talking about odds, like just probabilities, okay, it depends, because Rihanna is a special situation. Rihanna is a multi-millionaire, so that child will be fine, realistically speaking. But the main issue that comes from single parent families is the fact there's only one income to take care of the child. And obviously, you know, we all know the effects of poverty. You know, it makes people do drugs, crimes, crazy things. And a lot of the time as well, this mum or this dad could be working 2, 3, 4 jobs so they can afford to provide for the child. And that then means they don't have time to monitor or discipline their own child. And sometimes it can create a bit of distance between the child, you know, because the child doesn't fully understand, why do I never see my mum? Why do I never see my dad? And, you know, but unfortunately, that's just an unfortunate circumstance. And apparently, children from single parent families are more likely to end up having single parent families as well in the future, like with teenage pregnancies and things like that. They get lower academic grades and a higher rate of dropping out of school, whether high school or college or even uni. And a lot of that does come back to this, the finances are not fully taken care of.
I think what the statistics don't show is the nuance of the type of responsibility a child has when they're in a single parent household. Like, okay, yes, there's not everyone fits this stereotype, but some, obviously, like you said, there are some children who are more responsible being in a single parent household. But for some people, that just means that they know how to take care of themselves a little bit better. They know how to cook earlier. They know how to clean earlier. They know how to take care of other children. But for some people, that means that they have to be the head of the household. Like some boys who end up having to do illegal things on the streets to provide money. There's different levels of responsibility in just cooking yourself dinner because your mom has to work a few hours later after school and having to help your mom pay the bills. There's a big difference in that level of responsibility. And
Definitely.
then as well, about the grades in school, depending on your level of responsibility, even if you want to stay a few hours after school and do, because you don't have internet at home, you might have to go and pick your little brother up. I know in my experience, as much as it's about the person, it's also about the situation that type of person is in. If a person with all the will in the world wants to do certain things, if they're in a situation where they literally can't, then of course they're going to end up in situations that reflect that, i.e. not having the best grades, or then having to have more responsibility. But then on top of that, it's you have to understand as well the culture that person grew up in the first place, because especially in Afro-Caribbean households, there's this but one difference I've noticed is that one responsibility that is taught to Caribbean children is the idea of how to cook is taught into them, whether they're from a single parent household or a two parent household. Whereas in a lot of African households, single or not, it's only taught that to girls. That type of responsibility is only pushed onto women. And so obviously there are men who learn to cook and whatever in the household, but it's more likely that they're reared into thinking that a man has to be the head of the household and a woman has to be the homemaker. And so those responsibilities, but even in a single parent household, a girl is still low-key taught that she has to be the one to make the home and that the man has to be the one to provide the bills, even if they grow up seeing only their mom doing that, or even if they grow up seeing only their dad doing that, they still have this idea. And so it's all about the nuances of that particular culture, and then that particular family, and then that particular person who's in that situation. And so even though the statistics obviously don't lie, there's a lot that this, and they show a lot, but there's a lot that the statistics don't show. And I think it's what they don't show that is more telling of the reality. And so it's all well and good we have these statistics to show, like, okay, they're not getting the good grades, they're more likely to end up in crime. But you have to understand the types of crime that they're going into and the justifications for those crimes, because it's not like they're just going out and doing things. Well, obviously there are going to be some people who just are violent, but there are some people who are going out and end up in criminal activity, but for good intentions, because they were just trying to feed their family. They were just trying to do this, and they couldn't get the grades. They had the brains for it, but they couldn't get the grades because they always had to do this and that. And
That's a
I think
that's a different philosophical argument now.
Go on, Shy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the point that Davine brought up just like triggered something in my mind, which is it's true because it's true because in terms of statistics, if anyone has like a statistic based subject where you look at stuff like this, every journal article, every study it'll give you the statistics, but then it'll have the findings or the discussion of the findings, and they will try to explain why they think that this has occurred. It's not just, oh, this happens because of the single parent family. They look into all these different nuances of it. And I think that's often what's not portrayed. Like, people just see the statistics and they think, oh my God, lone parent families, single parent families are just bad. Nuclear family is the move. But they don't see the discussion that happens in a lot of these articles, in a lot of the studies that these people partake in. They try to explain it, they try to give like suggestions of how individuals, because that's what these studies are done for. They try to deal with the issue. And I think, again, like you said, the statistics just say one thing, but it's the discussion surrounding the topic where we truly understand what's going on in the situation.
Exactly. Definitely, and I feel like that's so important for you to say, because I feel like it's very particular and it's very individual and it's very personal. Each of these situations, when it comes to single parent household and the nuclear family, however that means. But that is it for today's discussion.
To just finally say, to answer the question, guys, let's go around. Is single parenthood conducive to child rearing? A single parent
No, but it can be.
child rearing? I'm gonna say yeah.
I think yeah, but as with all parenting, of course it can be.
Okay. So, yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell, and tell a friend to tell a friend, share, and yeah.
Check
This
us
was
out
a
on
good episode, guys.
Spotify.
And check us out on Spotify.
I mean,
Yes.
if you're not already listening to us on Spotify.
Yeah.
Most people
Thank you
probably-
very much.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you very much. That was
We'll
really
try
good.
again.